and this is the Browns duo of Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper. Now, Cooper's ADP is up 5 spots, and he's being drafted 54.1 player off the board. Deshaun Watson up 4.5 spots. He's being drafted at 137.1. What are your thoughts? I guess let's start with Amari Cooper.
Yeah. I happen to like Amari Cooper. Last season, I personally think yards per route run is a very good indicator for fantasy success. Last year, Amari Cooper was 12th in the NFL for yards per route run. Fantasy points per game, he was 17th. And he's being drafted as like the 20, I want to say like around the 29th receiver off the board. I just can't see Amari Cooper unless he gets injured, finishing as the wide receiver 29. This is going to be a guy who, he's gonna probably be a mid to high wide receiver 2. And with Watson, he actually had this a 76.3 catchable ball rate, which was the 5th best in the NFL last year. So surprisingly enough, you would think that Flacco would, increase Cooper's production, but he still saw some good targets and a decent target share from Deshaun Watson. So I happen to like Amari Cooper. When it comes to guys like Cooper, I build teams around guys like him in a sense of if I have 2 very high upside guys and I'm looking for a high floor as my 3rd guy, he's the kind of guy I'm looking at. I'm not that stoked if he's my 2nd receiver, though I think he can, like I said, produce as a mid wide receiver 2 to a high wide receiver, a mid wide receiver 2 to a high wide receiver 2, but I just don't know how much farther up he can go from there. So Amari Cooper is definitely somebody I am targeting if I'm going for my 3rd receiver and if I go wide receiver heavy in the first couple rounds.
Yeah, Amari Cooper, he's an interesting player. Some people love him. Some people aren't buying in. He's never really popped, right? If you go back, and Cooper's been around a long time, since 2015. If you go back to his career, his best finish when it comes to fantasy points per game was 2019. He was a wide receiver 14. Now, back-to-back years with Cleveland, he finished as a wide receiver 17 in fantasy points per game, and that was with erratic quarterback play. What I like about the situation this year, the Browns offensive line, I think PFF has them as their projected 4th best. They were a little bit banged up last year. They're going to be healthy. Deshaun Watson, we assume he's going to be healthy. The last time we saw Deshaun, he was playing his best football in the game. He got knocked out against Baltimore, I believe. But Jameis Winston, I don't think, and I bring this up when we talk about the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, how Tyrod Taylor raises everybody's floor if you're drafting Jets assets because Tyrod's a better backup than Jets starters the past 2 years. Well, Jameis Winston, say what you will about him, is he a good NFL quarterback? He is not.
Deshaun Watson.
No, I'm talking about Jameis Winston.
Okay.
If Deshaun goes down again.
Yes.
They now have Jameis Winston, who we know, go back to that 1 year with Todd Monken with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he was pushing 5,000 yards passing. So we know he can support fantasy assets. So no matter what quarterback we have under center for the Cleveland Browns, I think we could buy into Amari Cooper as where, we're not going to worry because in between Watson and Flacco, there was who were those bums they had under center last
PJ Walker,
Dorial Thompson, PJ. Yeah. We don't have to worry about that this year.
No.
And that makes me like Amari Cooper more. And he's also the alpha. I get they brought in Jerry Jeudy and they have Elijah Moore. Amari Cooper is the alpha wide receiver 1 on this football team. Had 128 targets last year while missing 2 games, $132 and playing all 17 in 2022. His floor is not bad in the past 2 years. Again, with the erratic quarterback play, at least 1,160 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. Now, is there a world where we get that 2022 touchdown number? He had 9. And then he gives us maybe last year's receiving yards number, which was 1,250 in 15 games. If we can, and 17.4 yards per catch, if we get a combination of those two seasons with yards, reception pace, yards per reception efficiency, and touchdowns, I think there's a chance that Amari Cooper, we could draft him, and hey, maybe he's a top 15 receiver this year.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. I think top. If I think it's really ageism, right? It's constant. Same with the James Conner thing. Like Amari Cooper just feels like he's been around for so long. It's like people don't want to be stuck holding the bag if he falls off, but. There's just been no suggestion that would say that he is. I mean, he looked just as good. His route running was crisp last year. Jerry Jeudy comes into the fold, but I'm not really worried about him stealing targets. They don't throw to the running back position a lot. Nick Chubb has never been a big target hog. So, yeah, I'm definitely interested in him. One thing I wanted to note, because we do have a lot of people in here, 14 on YouTube, 500 on Twitter. Wow. So thanks, everybody, for being here. We do have the Chad Johnson autograph jersey giveaway that we are giving away at the end of the show. So stick around if you are already signed up and you're watching right now. Stick around. We'll spin the wheel and we'll select a winner for that towards the end of the show. But I just want to make sure if you're here and you are in the actual giveaway, just hang around with us and we'll announce it on Twitter just in case you miss it.
Now, let's also note before we go off of Cooper, 85th in catchable target rate, 79th in target quality rating. If those targets are a higher quality level this year, again, like I like getting my hands on some Amari Cooper, and he's being drafted like he's going 54th player off the board. So he's going around guys like Zay Flowers, Stephon Diggs, George Pickens, Tank Dell, T. Higgins. Outside of George Pickens, I'm taking Amari over all of those guys.
Yeah, I agree. We talked about it, I think, on the show 2 days ago. I think, Zay Flowers is one of those polarizing guys where, I prefer Amari Cooper, who's a slightly cheaper cost. So, yeah, I'm down with that. Did you want to touch on Deshaun Watson, or did you want to move on?
We can for a minute.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I mean, Deshaun's another guy. I think the thought process of getting Deshaun from his Houston years, that's gone. I, for one, was one of those people that when he came to Cleveland, hey, we're going to get that Houston Deshaun. He's only 1 year or so removed. That's gone. That's not happening. But can we get a better version of Deshaun Watson if he can stay healthy and this offensive line can keep him upright? This is another guy where price comes into play. Like Deshaun Watson's being drafted as QB 22 right now. I think that's a little bit ludicrous. Now, I know the quarterback position's very crowded. There's a lot of people you can make a case for, but I wouldn't mind, if you're drafting Aaron Rodgers, let's say, because look at the weapons around him. He's going to bounce back. The offensive line's better. Then you're drafting Aaron Rodgers at QB 20, QB 21, thinking, well, he can finish as a top 12 quarterback, closer to the back. Why can't we get a top 15 season out of Deshaun Watson? And if you're drafting Watson at QB 22 and he gives us a QB 15 or 16 season, that's a healthy return on investment.
Yeah, look, and honestly, I think Watson, for all the off the field things, I mean, time heals wounds, and I'm not saying anything that he did was justified or did anything right. I mean, he's a piece of crap for what he did. But over time, right, mentally, that's taxing. And I don't think people are really honing in on it anymore. It's not a talking point. He's been on the field. We've seen it happen. For him, I think he can kind of put those to the side and just kind of focus on playing. And I think he should, as long as the shoulder is healthy, I think he should be fine. Now, will we see Deshaun Watson from Houston? Probably not. But it's not like this guy's old. I mean, he's still decently young in his high 20s. The talent is still there. It's really just mentally for Deshaun Watson. Yeah. I don't think his athletic and physical abilities just are gone. So I really don't think it'd be that crazy to say that he could even finish as a top 12 guy, not top 12 high, but I'm saying 12, 13, 14. I think where you're getting him in terms of drafting him at his ADP in the 20s, like he should definitely beat out that ADP. Now, is it worth it in terms of how much more will he beat out those quarterbacks in that range on a game per game basis? Well, that's something to be said, but you're getting him at such a low cost that I could certainly see him beating out even Caleb Williams. I mean, he's a rookie, but he's going pretty high. And I like Caleb Williams' situation, but we still got to see it, right? Matt Stafford, love Matt Stafford, but this is a guy, the fantasy community likes guys that can run, and Deshaun Watson can run, and he can create. And they just got an upgrade with Jerry Jeudy to add another pass catcher. So, yeah, I definitely like Deshaun Watson as a second quarterback if I get somebody really good in the beginning, one of those top tier guys. I'm good waiting on a guy like Watson as my second quarterback at the end of the draft.
Let's go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.